Congressman James Clyburn isn't too concerned. He joins us right now. Congressman, you don't think these tax hikes or talk of them would kind of upset the apple cart?
Well, it all depends on which tax hike you're talking about. If you're talking about letting the Bush tax cuts expire as currently scheduled to do, I don't think it's a big deal. If you talk about 160 million people not allowing those tax cuts to go forward, that is a big deal.
So you're saying for the tax cuts, or the tax rates that are supposed to expire at the end of this year for the upper income, you would let them expire, right? Not for the others.
Yes, absolutely. But not the 160 million people who we're trying to get a tax cut for now. Because these are the consumers, Neil, and you know that. These people, when they save this $1,000 or $2,000 per household, that money gets plowed back into the economy. It allows for jobs to be created, and it makes for a much better flow within our economy. Those people at the high end, we know what happens with that money. It goes into their portfolios, and it may not ever get into the economy the way it needs.
First of all, Congress, what they do with their money is their business, right? But leaving that aside,
I'm not saying what it is their business.
I understand, sir, but do you see what I mean? Like, there's a propensity on the part of Democrats, not all, and maybe not you all the time, but to further look at raising taxes than ever cutting spending.
Well, we did cut spending, $957 billion in the last cut. And we have cut
spending. It was barely a rounding error.
Twice.
Over the next 10 years, barely a rounding error.
Well, it may be. But the fact of the matter is, don't say we didn't cut. We get blamed
You
for
slowed the growth. You slowed the growth by 900 some odd billion, right? That's not a cut.
That's been the definition of a cut for as long as I've been in government. This is my 20th year here, and it's always those who are doing it say we are cutting. Those who are against it says you're cutting the growth in spending.
Fair enough,
Democrats do it,
fair enough. But you just heard we had another $1 trillion plus deficit, fourth year running. Do you think it's time people get serious about big spending cuts before they start talking about any sort of a tax hike?
Yes, we should get serious about big spending cuts. And we also should get serious about big revenue raises. We know that our tax code is crying out for reform. Let's reform this tax code. Let's make sure that everybody has the same benefit, everybody playing by the same rules, so that everybody can be a part of this growth going forward.
So does that include, sir, the nearly half of all households that pay no income tax right now? Would it be fair that they put some skin in the game?
Well, when you don't pay an income tax, it means you're not making any income.
No, that's actually not true. It's actually not true. Now, a lot of these people are paying Social Security and Medicare, what have you, but that I can understand maybe a few percent not being able to pay anything, and that's fine. But 46%?
And that's why Richard Nixon and Republicans in the past gave us the earned income tax credit. So
I know, but we're up to 46% not paying any income tax.
Well, so
pretty
what?
Big. So what?
We want to do?
That's a big deal.
No, they're contributing to the economic growth in the country.
Yeah, but they have no skin in the game when it comes to correcting our tax code or addressing it. I understand what you're saying, sir, about fairness. Maybe the rich should pay more. Maybe you're right. But I wonder about the half paying no income taxes at all. Is that fair?
Well, if they don't have sufficient income to pay taxes. Why should we say to people who making almost no income, got children to feed, making $20,000 a year, you need to put some skin in the game? Well, they're not.
You have a lot who are making more than $50,000. I'm not saying they're all sponging off the system. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you cannot. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm telling you that statistics from the IRS, when 46% are not paying income tax. Now, again, I'm not saying you're paying Social Security, you're paying Medicare. It's not as if you're getting away scot-free. But you are not part of this income tax producing nation. And pointing fingers at the rich who are, you are only further heightening this I don't know, this angst between the classes, right?
Let's stop denigrating poor people. There are
I'm not denigrating poor people, but 46%, they can't all be poor people.
And if 46% of the people are only making $20,000 a year or less, then we ought to do something about that. And those are the people who are not paying any income tax. And I don't want them to pay an income tax. And I don't mind paying a little more on their behalf. And I think that the people who make $20 million a year and paying no income tax or paying 14%, as is happening with one presidential candidate who made $21 million doing no work at all.
Well, he paid taxes on that money when he had it, and then the money that he had reinvested, he's paying capital gains. He's not cheating anyone. There's a capital gains rate, and he's paying that capital gains rate. It's not as if he's dodging the tax man, right?
Well, he may be dodging. We don't know because he got the money over in the Cayman Islands and other places outside of the country and won't let us see it. He may be dodging. If he's not dodging, expose it all. Let us see it.
Wait a minute. You just implied, though, Congressman, maybe with the best of intentions, to say that Mitt Romney is getting away paying a rate that be right, when in fact he is paying a capital gains rate on money that he has already paid the highest rate on. He took that money, that capital, reinvested it. That money then makes money. It's capital that has a gain, hence capital gains. It is taxed at a different rate, 15%. But it's not as if he's masterminded a highway robbery here, right?
No, it's not a highway robbery by any means, but it's an unfair tax code. He did pay taxes on the principal, but the principal is now gaining additional income off the interest, and he's paying a much less rate on the money he's made off of money.
Yeah, but that kind of money taxed at that rate, Congressman, compels those who want to invest in startup enterprises or turn companies around and risk their capital. They'll risk it when there's a rate of 15%. They might not if it's 30, 40, 50%, right?
Granted, and that's a fair assessment of it, but you never know when the money is parked offshore. If the money is in the Cayman Islands, in a Swiss bank account, we have no idea now, do we? Now, you tell all kinds of stuff about with this man, how he made his money and what he's done with it. Maybe you've got some secret insight into the Swiss bank account or the Cayman Islands account. I don't. And I don't know of anybody else who may have that kind of access. So
if he gives $4 million, let's say that if he gives $4 million to charity, if he gives a lot of money to a variety of causes, whatever, you're questioning where he has his money. That money eventually has to come back home, taxed at the rates they are in the United States. None of that makes a difference to you. He's intrinsically evil because it's somewhere else?
Well, no, I would prefer that we all play by the same rules in this country. You know, I've never given $3 million in a year. But that little $1.7 million, my wife and I gave to our alma mater down there in South Carolina. If we would use the widow's mite, it is much, much more money than President candidate Romney has given.
You called him President Romney, didn't you?
As a president to candidate Romney.
I'm kidding. Congressman, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, meanwhile, we got this